6 years ago they broke him tonight. He's here to break them. On his wedding night, Luke Garrison was set up by his own family. They got him drunk, framed him, and left him beaten in the street. The next day, he was sentenced to prison. His company was taken, his name ruined, and his new wife left behind in shame. While he disappeared, the Garrison family used his success to rise to the top. But Luke didn't stay down. He became the god of war, leader of armies, feared across the world. Now he's back in Northampton, and tonight, while the Garrison family celebrates their stolen success, Luke is walking into their party. He doesn't want forgiveness, he wants justice, he wants his wife back, and he wants every person who betrayed him to pay. In Arudia, a private jet landed at Northampton Airport, where all international flights experienced an 8-hour delay because of it. At the private passageway were 5 men in suits and leather shoes, standing as straight as a javelin. Every now and then, they would raise their wrist to look at the time, for a big shot was coming to town. The upper-class society of Northampton had learned about his arrival, but no one had the capability to get an inch closer to the private passageway. Even the richest man in Northampton who came to pay homage was chased away. Finally, there were movements coming from the passageway. "God of War!" the mass cried out, their eyes filled with awe and veneration at the sight of the undefeatable legend of Arudia. He, who was dubbed the God of War, was the one and only 5-star God of War in the history of Arudia. Once, he'd inflicted a crushing defeat on the strongest battalions in 18 countries. He was an overbearing and formidable man. He who overwhelmed the world with his unparalleled power had even created the 5 Great Wars Regiment, Cavalry Regiment, and many more. Setting foot on his homeland, Luke Garrison was overcome with emotions. Once upon a time, he used to be an orphan who was abandoned on the streets of Northampton and then adopted by the Garrison family. However, the Garrison family had never been fond of him. His adoptive parents, who had a tendency to beat and scold him, treated him like an outsider. As for the outsiders, they treated him as a nobody. But he didn't care a stiver. He had always been proud of his surname since he was a child, and he strived to bring glory to this family when he grew older. At last, Luke had established Luke Group, the largest dark horse in Northampton's business community. With billions of assets, it ranked among the forefront of Northampton, pushing the declining Garrison family to the top. However, not only did the Garrison family show no signs of appreciation, they even harbored dissatisfaction towards him. Jealous of his success, they regarded him as a thorn in their flesh and coveted Luke Group. No matter his wealth and power, unless they were in control, he was just an outsider in the Garrison family's eyes. Eventually, on Luke's wedding night, the Garrison family plotted a frame up against him by getting him drunk before tossing him onto his sister-in-law's bed. They wanted to create the illusion that he was doing something untoward to her and was caught in bed by his brother and adoptive parents. That night, the Garrison family had brutally broken his limbs and left him on the road like a wild dog. Not only was he handicapped, but he also had to take the flak for something he didn't commit. From an upstart in the business world, he had become the target of disdain overnight. And the next day, he had been punished for several crimes and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He could never forget the ruthless and sinister faces of everyone in the Garrison family and the ridicule of his friends, classmates, and business partners. More so, he could never forget the disappointment on his newly wedded wife, Zoe's face. He had regarded the Garrison family as his home and devoted himself to the family. Yet they treated him like trash. It felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart every time he thought about this. How he hated the Garrison family. But who would have thought that Luke had been secretly transferred away from prison to join the military? In a few years, he dominated the military world and became the one and only 5-star God of War. Now that he came back, the Garrison family ought to stay on their toes. "How's it going, Azure Dragon?" Luke asked. Azure Dragon, the commander of the 5 Great Wars Regiment, took a step forward and said respectfully, "Sir, I'm afraid your wife, Miss Zoe Lopez, will remarry at 10 o'clock tonight. Ever since Zoe's husband was sent to prison on their wedding night, she had been living like a widow. Only God knew how much pressure she was put under. And right now, the person Luke couldn't wait to see the most was Zoe." After a moment of hesitation, Azure Dragon continued. "To add on, sir, the Garrison family is holding a successful listing celebration banquet at the Crystal Palace Hotel tonight. Many people had invited the God of War just now, including the Garrison family, but I didn't accept nor refuse directly." "What time?" Luke asked tersely. 8 o'clock, sir." "Okay, tell the Garrison family I will attend the banquet." Since the time for the two events didn't clash, Luke gladly accepted the invitation. The celebration banquet for the public listing of Garrison Group was held at Northampton's Crystal Palace Hotel. With the help of Luke Group, they had become a rich and powerful family in one fell swoop. The hall was bustling with noise and excitement, and sounds of glasses clinking could be heard ringing in the air every now and then. God bless the Garrison family, said Joseph, the head of the Garrison family. The younger generations are the stars among men. Garrison Group is now listed and has become an upstart in Northampton. Joseph's 3 sons and daughter welcomed their guests with bright smiles on their faces. The younger generation of the Garrison family was all the smugger and prouder because, after today, the Garrison family would become a powerful family, and they would become one of the top rich kids. Most of the guests who attended today's banquet were from the top circle in Northampton. Garrison, do you know what happened today? Your celebration party is nothing compared to that. They were gossiping about the major event that had happened today. Yeah, I heard that a big shot has arrived in Northampton. The richest man in Northampton wanted to meet him but was shooed away. Apparently, he's not qualified enough. So, Jesse Nielsen had been waiting for 5 hours in advance at the airport. Joseph nodded. Yes, I know about that too. I even sent someone to invite this big shot to the celebration party. No way. Why would this big shot attend such a party? No one believed it. In fact, as an upstart, Joseph was just trying his luck. Dad, shouted Jacob, the second eldest son of the Garrison family, could be seen running over. The big shot has accepted our invitation to attend our celebration banquet. He's on the way. Jesus, God has indeed blessed the Garrison family. Everyone in the Garrison family could barely conceal their delight, as this was their chance to reach the sky in a single bound. The grandchildren of the Garrison family gathered together, sunshine flooding their souls. Luke's brother Brian and sister-in-law Victoria smiled. Well, it all starts with Luke's imprisonment that the Garrison family is at where we are today, right? Speaking about Luke, do you guys know today's the day that kid gets out of prison? Somebody asked abruptly. Really? Isn't that bad luck? Why did he have to be released on such a big day? Please, please, please don't come back. He's the Garrison family's biggest disgrace. Victoria's lips tugged into a sneer. Speaking of which, Luke is the crowning glory of the Garrison family's status today. That's what he's supposed to do, Brian said. He should contribute to the Garrison family for raising him, an orphan. His multi-billion Luke group means nothing. To put it bluntly, he's just a dog raised by the Garrison family. Someone gave a chortle. As a matter of fact, I've been interested in Luke's wife for a long time now. She's still widowed, and I'm so going to marry her. The man's remark caused gales of laughter. Everyone, stop what you're doing. I have an important announcement to make, Joseph said, and went on to announce that the big shot was coming. A thunderous applause was heard. But when the applause had died down, there was still someone clapping. The sound was loud and clear, approaching from afar. On the red carpet, a man came clapping, looking bold and energetic. His stride gave off a majestic and imposing aura, which made the mass hold their breaths. "It's Luke!" Brian and Victoria exclaimed. Suddenly, all eyes were riveted on him. "I forgot this little brat got out of jail today." Luke's adoptive parents spoke in unison. Ignoring the astonished gazes darted at his way, Luke walked step by step towards Joseph. "A little bird told me that the company is now listed. How are you feeling, Joseph? Are you happy?" Luke flashed him a meaningful smile. "How dare you show up here, you insolent brat? And what did you just call me?" Joseph's fury sprang to life. "Who let him in? Didn't you know he just got out of prison? How inauspicious!" Brian rose to his feet. "What the hell are you doing here, Luke?" Luke sized him up. "Why can't I be here?" "Well, for starters, you're an orphan. The Garrison family has raised you, but you were ambitious and ungrateful. You had inordinate ambitions for your sister-in-law, and you wanted to take possession of the Garrison family. You'd even tried to kill your parents when things go south. Have you no conscience? Do you have any sense of morality left in your heart? You've lost your reputation in Northampton, and everyone knows that. Have you no shame to have the brass neck to come around here? Everyone knows why you're back. You want to leech off the Garrison family. You want our money, isn't it? You've long been expelled from the Garrison family, you ungrateful wretch. The Garrison family has nothing to do with you. Now get lost." Luke's adoptive parents rose to their feet and pointed at his nose, hurling abusive remarks at him. The Garrison family's brazenness of distorting the truth was mind-bending. How disappointing. He had thought they would feel somewhat apologetic after 6 years, but they were unexpectedly more aggravated. They took everything from him, crippled him, and ruined his reputation, turning everything upside down and making everything his fault instead. The Garrison family didn't have the slightest bit of compassion to speak of. Brian zipped towards Luke, assessing him condescendingly. Don't you just want money now that you're back?" Flap. Brian threw a credit card to the ground and lifted his foot, shaking his leather shoe. "My vamp is dirty. Lick it clean, and the 1 million in this card is yours." His words elicited a fresh burst of laughter as the crowd looked at Luke as if they were looking at a dog. Oh my, 1 million? That's more than enough to cover his living expenses. I bet he'll lick it. Victoria gave a wry look. On your knees, Brian roared, seeing that Luke was glaring at him. Now lick my shoe. Luke stared at him coldly and held his peace. Kneel! Brian rushed to Luke and pressed his shoulders, forcing him to kneel, but the latter didn't budge. I said kneel! Brian struggled to rivet him to the spot. Drop dead! Luke suddenly slapped Brian in the face, sending him flying almost 8 meters away. Silence engulfed the room. One could even hear a pin drop. Unbelievable. Everyone in the Garrison family was stupefied. What did Luke just do? Did he just knock Brian to the ground with a single slap? Plod. Brian was about to get up when Luke stepped on him, crushed him, and crossed over him. Looking at the approaching Luke, Joseph instinctively stepped back. Luke went up the stage and adjusted the microphone stand. Everyone looked at him, wondering what he was going to do next. Listen up, everyone. I'm sure you remember what happened 6 years ago, yes? For the love and care I had received from the Garrison family during childhood, I'm giving you 1 month to kneel before me for 3 days and 3 nights to repent your sins. Remember, that's everyone from the Garrison family. If I don't see any shadow within a month, the outcome is simple. I swear I'll wipe off every single one of you here today. Luke's voice was low and deep, but as soon as he finished, the crowd was laughing like a drain. Did prison life eat his brain or what? What conceited nonsense is he spouting? The Garrison family right now is a juggernaut in Northampton. He's just a criminal. Isn't it a pipe dream to destroy the Garrison family? Did he knock his brain loose or something? Bear in mind that I have limited patience. You only have 1 month. Of course you may gather your strengths and connections to fight against me. I'll be waiting. Luke then took his leave straight away, disregarding the mockeries of the crowd. Stop right there, you idiot. Did I tell you to leave? Ben, Luke's adoptive father, wanted to stop him. Ben, let him go, Joseph said. It's a big day today. I don't want to see bloodshed. He was afraid about the impact that would bring about if the big shot saw this. Yeah, there are so much more opportunities to take care of him. He's in luck that the big shot is on his way. With that, Luke left the place under the watchful eyes of hundreds of people. After Luke had left, Joseph asked anxiously, Jacob, where's the big shot? Isn't he here yet? Jacob looked dazed. According to the time, he should have arrived long ago. Let me ask. After making a phone call, Jacob blanched. Dad, the big shot was here, but he left already. What? The big shot was here? The big shot said that the Garrison family are a bunch of unworthy, stupid pigs. I get it. He must have left in a fit of rage after witnessing the ruckus that Brad had created. He must have thought that the Garrison family disrespected him. Joseph trembled with rage. That brat will pay for this. The multitude reacted accordingly. Luke has ruined the Garrison family's glorious event. He just pissed off the big shot. That's equivalent to cutting off the Garrison family's chance to reach the sky. Luke Garrison is indeed the sinner of the Garrison family. At that moment, the Garrison family wished to skin Luke alive. His adoptive parents, brother and sister-in-law especially, hated him to the bone. Just you wait, Luke. After leaving Crystal Palace Hotel, the next person that Luke was going to look for was his wife, Zoe Lopez. In this life, he owed no debt to the Garrison family, nor his friends and classmates, but Zoe. He had been imprisoned on the 2nd day after the wedding, making Zoe lose her reputation. That even put her through 6 years of widowhood. This woman has carried too much on her shoulders for 6 years. But now that I'm back, I'll hold your hand, and we'll conquer the world together. After hesitating for a long time, Luke pressed the doorbell. Thud! The young woman dropped her mobile phone to the ground as the door opened. Upon taking a closer look at Luke's face, Zoe broke down in tears. Zoe, quick. Just get the parcel and come in. It's almost time for the family banquet. Your grandfather is going to settle your marriage at the family banquet tonight. You can't get away from this. Yeah, quickly get dressed. Your grandfather is going to set you up with someone else. Zoe's parents' voices sounded from the inside. Zoe, I'm back, Luke said excitedly, wanting to fling his arm around her, but Zoe slapped his hands away. Why did you come back? I've already forgotten about you. Zoe's voice was choked with sobs. Very soon after, Zoe's parents, Aaron and Caitlin, came out looking horrified. How dare you have the nerve to come back? Do you know how much criticism my family has suffered because of you, especially Zoe? Do you know how much she has suffered for the past 6 years? Zoe's father, Aaron, reproached. Meanwhile, her mother, Caitlin, pushed and shoved Luke. You should know that this relationship between you and Zoe is impossible in this life the moment you went to jail. You're a criminal. You're just a street rat in Northampton. You're only putting Zoe in harm's way by coming to see her. Naturally, Luke had known of Zoe's sufferings for the past 6 years, including her refusal to remarry because of him. Luke put on a serious face. This time, I'm back for good. I won't leave Zoe ever again. I will grant her a bright future and let her own the world. Luke's declaration had Aaron and Caitlin hooting with laughter. You've spent 6 years in jail. How are you going to give Zoe a future? Aaron asked with a sneer. Yeah? With your mouth? Caitlin chimed in. There's a limit to talking big. Nonetheless, Luke smiled. Don't worry. I'll reclaim what I lost in those years. I'll destroy the Garrison family in a month. Luke. This time, even Zoe couldn't bear to listen to his nonsense any longer. Can we be more realistic? It doesn't matter if you just get out of prison. Can't you just be down to earth and start anew? I believe that you will make a comeback one day, but you can't just indulge in tall talk. Do you know just how powerful the Garrison family is right now? And besides, today's era is a far cry from what it was 6 years ago. Zoe, trust me, Luke said earnestly. I can make the Garrison family bow at my feet with just a word. Preposterous. Luke's bravado nearly drove Zoe and her parents round the bend. Having been caged up for 6 years, did he finally lose his mind? Fine, if you say so, Zoe said, shoving her mobile phone to Luke directly. Then prove it. I'd like to see how you make the Garrison family bow their heads with just one word. Luke was stunned. It was true that he could exterminate the Garrison family with his words, but he had given them 1 month. It would be too uneventful to destroy them now. See, you can't do it, can't you? Then don't you ever talk big if you can't. Zoe smashed the phone to the ground, marking her wrath. Following that, her parents pushed Luke away. Go now. You're not welcome here. We've got a family banquet to attend. No, Mom, Dad, let him in. What do you mean, Zoe? I won't remarry. My husband is back. Aaron and Caitlin couldn't talk her round, so they could only let him in. After that, Zoe took Luke to her bedroom. Since you're back, you're still my husband. I don't care about the gossips. Besides, I believe you're innocent, and anyone with discerning eyes can see that it was the Garrison family who'd framed you. Luke could feel the warmth in his heart. She trusted him, and that was more than enough for him. But you must promise me to start from zero and be down to earth. I believe you will achieve something great with your ability. I'll give you 5 years. That's unnecessary, Luke said. Just give me 1 month. In a month, I'll Shut up. I don't want to listen to your nonsensical and unrealistic talks. Why can't we just be realistic? Zoe shouted. Even if you have nothing now, as long as you take 1 step at a time, I believe you'll get back on your feet. Luke shut up obediently. I bought you these 6 years ago. Zoe took out a suit from the cupboard. Change into it at once and follow me to the family banquet. Zoe, what is up with you? Seeing Luke all dressed up, Aaron and Caitlin were naturally dissatisfied. Zoe clung onto Luke's arm. Mom, Dad, Luke is my husband now. I will make myself clear to Grandpa tonight. Aaron and Caitlin looked daggers at Luke, sighing helplessly. For heaven's sake! The Lopez family banquet was held at Golden Port Restaurant, where they contracted the entire restaurant. Naturally, the Lopez family was not as powerful as the Garrison family, but they were considered above average in Northampton. When Zoe and her family arrived at the main hall, they were greeted with strange and jesting gazes. In the past, when Zoe and Luke had gotten married, Aaron's family status was the highest in the Lopez family. But after Luke's downfall, Aaron's family had experienced a seismic shift in life, and their status in the Lopez family took a nosedive as they became the subject of ridicule, especially during family events. Look, is that Luke beside Zoe? Yeah, it's really him. He's released from prison already? All eyes fell on Luke at once. Harry, the head of the Lopez family, snorted and turned a blind eye to the 4 of them. The old man's favorite now was Fabian, his eldest son, and his family, mainly because Fabian's son-in-law, Samuel Robertson, was of mixed ethnicity, who was born rich and had lived overseas. This time, Harry was going to set up Zoe with Samuel's younger brother, Chris, who had been casting covetous eyes on Zoe for some time now. With no one paying attention to them, Aaron and his family could only find a place to sit first. As they were about to take their seats, a voice was heard. No, Aaron, you guys can't sit here. It was a reminder from Henry, the second eldest son of the Lopez family. What? There are sitting arrangements to the family banquet this time. Aaron looked puzzled. How so? There are 4 tables for the family banquet, and it's decided according to the family contribution. For example, the first table is given to the family who contributed over $5 million to the family in a year, $1 million for the second table, $100,000 for the third table, and less than $100,000 for the last table. Or should I say no contribution at all? Henry smiled smugly. Our family has made good profits this year, and we've contributed just about $5 million to the family. So excuse me, but this table here is ours. Of course, you can also sit at the first table without contributing. That is, if your family has tens of millions of assets. Unfortunately, we couldn't be any clearer about your family's situation, sneered Madison, Henry's wife. Now that there's an ex-convict in your family, I'm sorry that you guys can only sit at the last table. Mom, Dad, as far as I know, Uncle Aaron and his family didn't contribute much to the family last year, said Sean, Henry's son, walking over with a glass in his hand. Their company went bankrupt, and they even borrowed over $2 million from Grandpa. Clearly it's a negative contribution. It's unfair to the relatives sitting at the fourth table. I say we add a fifth table for negative contributors. Yeah, I agree. The rest of the Lopez family concurred. Okay, we'll do as Sean says. This shall motivate you people. Harry gave his consent. Hurry up and sit down. Don't just stand there and make a fool out of yourselves. Harry glared at Aaron. With that, Aaron and his family walked over to the fifth table, quietly. Which table should a 10 billion contributor sit at? Asked Luke suddenly, pulling Zoe's arm. Luke was the one and only five-star god of war, and wealth to him was just a number. In fact, he didn't know exactly how much he had, but he could still fork out 10 billion casually for the family contribution on behalf of Aaron's family. As soon as Luke said that, everyone was stunned at his query. After a few moments of silence, the crowd blossomed into an enormous belly laugh. 10 billion? You must be kidding me. Even the aristocratic Garrison family may not have that much money. This kid must have a loose screw in the head to come here and embarrass himself. Hey Aaron, did you know you have a son-in-law worth 10 billion? Ha 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 ha, sensing the jeering gazes and titter from the people around. Aaron and his family wished the ground could swallow them whole. This is embarrassing. Too embarrassing. Zoe's temper sparked and her eyes blazed with rage. Luke Garrison, is it not enough for you to talk big at home that you have to come here and embarrass me? Do you think you haven't done enough after all these years? Zoe trembled as tears silently rolling down her cheeks. But I do have 10 billion, Luke said helplessly. At this time, no one bothered to listen to Luke's sheer bull because the star of the day, Fabian's son-in-law, had arrived. Everyone, including Harry, went out to the entrance to greet him. I'm sorry to keep everyone waiting. Samuel wore an apologetic expression. Your flight was nearly 10 hours late. What's up with that? Harry asked in concern. Samuel smiled. Grandpa, don't you know? A big shot has arrived in Northampton, and Northampton Airport was sealed off for 8 hours. What? Is there such a thing? Who's this big shot to have the airport sealed off, Samuel? Harry asked smilingly. It's not just that. It's said that 100 planes escorted the private jet of that big shot, and there were 100,000 people guarding at the airport. Damn! What? The crowd gasped in shock. He's the commander-in-chief of 9 war zones, the god of war of Erudia. Haha, you may not believe it if I say this, but I met this great man when I was at a gathering abroad, and we even exchanged numbers. I didn't expect him to take up a post in Northampton. I'll ask him out sometime in support of the Lopez family. That way you'll gain a foothold in Northampton in no time. Samuel said loftily. God, that's incredible. How did you even get to know someone like him? My brother-in-law is so cool. The Lopez family's son-in-law is one of a kind, of course, except for one. Everyone looked at Samuel with veneration. The old man was all the more impressed. Aaron and Caitlin begrudged Fabian's son-in-law, and Zoe was envious as well. But she believed that in 5 years, Luke, too, could make her grandfather proud. Yet, unbeknownst to them, Luke was actually barely stifling in his laughter. This kid is quite something to know that I've arrived, but his ability to make up nonsense is even more impressive. You're saying you know the god of war? Luke asked. Samuel raised his head. Yeah, we had a drink together. Is there a problem? Luke chuckled. Then why don't I recognize you? Huh? Samuel froze, and so did the rest. What does he mean? Samuel frowned. Are you saying that you're the god of war? Luke smiled. Yes, I am the god of war, but I never knew you. The crowd burst into laughter. Samuel especially laughed his head off. Even old man Harry was amused as he had never seen such a sensationalist before. Clown. Luke is such a clown. Gosh, Zoe, your husband is hilarious. Melanie, Samuel's wife, derided. He called himself the god of war, just to prove himself and save his pride. Do you even know who the god of war is? He's the commander-in-chief of 9 war zones who can wipe off a clan with just his words. What? Is the prison a war zone? Geez, Zoe, what a husband you have there. I feel terrible for you. The others also tried to get a word in. Don't bring him out in the future, Zoe. You might not think it's embarrassing, but we do. Yeah, don't ever let him attend any of our family banquet in the future. The Lopez family wants to preserve our reputation. Aaron, your family is really rotten. I'm so disappointed in you. Harry gave Aaron a dark look. God, What sin have I committed in my previous life to deserve this? Aaron and Caitlin looked down, their expressions ugly. This is the most humiliating day ever. Zoe sat in the corner. In the face of many insults and derision, she didn't utter a single word, but tears rolled down her cheeks silently. Never in her mind would she expect to be confronted by such humiliating moments. Zoe looked at Luke, feeling a little disgusted. She didn't mind that Luke was imprisoned, nor did she mind the stigma of him having gone to prison. All she cared about was Luke's attitude. Initially, she thought that he would start from scratch and live a practical life after he got out of prison, but the Luke Garrison right now was a bitter disappointment. He's so unrealistic, a sensationalist, not to mention his damn pride. What a buffoon! Zoe didn't want to admit that this was her husband. Okay, aren't you the god of war? Samuel refused to let Luke off so easily. There will be a welcome banquet tomorrow night in Northampton, specially dedicated to welcome this big shot. I hope to see you there. Samuel was up to date. Indeed, there was such a banquet. As Luke had decided to settle down in Northampton, the higher-ups had assigned him as the deputy of Northampton, which was more reasonable. After all, his purpose of being here was uncertain, and everyone was afraid of this big shot. It was easy to cause panic. For this reason, Northampton had decided to host a welcome banquet. Oh, can you also attend such a welcome banquet, Samuel? Harry couldn't help but ask upon hearing their conversation. Samuel squared his shoulders and smiled. I just received 2 invitation cards. In fact, Samuel had gone out of his way to buy 2 invitation cards for $2 million just to show off at the family banquet today. All those present looked at Samuel in awe. Now that's $2 million well spent, he thought to himself smugly. Can you get any more of this invitation card, Samuel? Harry asked cautiously. If so, your father and I would like to expand our horizons. Fabian gazed at Samuel with anticipation in his eyes. I'll get it no matter what. Samuel flat out agreed, although he could feel the burn in his pocket. That's another $2 million there. It's just a matter of one phone call. Samuel made a call and purchased 2 more invitation cards. Say, Zoe, Melanie said, scooting over to Zoe. Will I see you at the banquet tomorrow? Ha ha ha, Zoe's face darkened, knowing that Melanie was embarrassing her on purpose. Not long after, a black car stopped in front of Golden Port Hotel with a man in a suit walking in soon after. Aren't you Riley, the secretary? Harry quickly went up to greet him upon realizing who the visitor was. Riley, who came into contact with the upper management every day, was the secretary of the Northampton office building. Surely he had to show his respect. Greetings, Mr. Lopez. I'm here for one simple purpose, to send the Lopez family 10 invitation cards for tomorrow's banquet. After dropping off 10 invitation cards, Riley left in a hurry. It was a mission assigned to him from the head secretary of Northampton. At this moment, the head secretary of Northampton was sitting in the car outside. He was afraid of meeting the legendary god of war. The words of his big boss echoed clearly in his ears. Every important family member of the god of war's father-in-law's family must attend tomorrow's banquet. He was to send out the invitations in a low-profile manner while keeping the identity of the sender unknown. Hence, he had assigned Riley for the task. Luke said nothing when he saw this scene. Samuel, however, was taken aback. What's going on? Didn't I just buy 2 invitation cards? Why did they send us 10 cards at once? And who was it again? Riley, the secretary? You're the best grandson-in-law, Samuel. Harry guffawed. To have the secretary from the office building send us 10 invitations at once with just a word, the Lopez family is proud of you. Fabian was all smiles. Damn, you're amazing, Samuel. Sean regarded Samuel with admiration. Melanie has indeed married a good man. You're surely the happiest woman in the world, unlike Zoe, who married a criminal. I'm sorry that my husband is too amazing, Zoe. Just say the word if you need our help in the future, but I dare not get too close to you, though. Melanie paused. Lest someone tries to jump his sister-in-law, Zoe could feel her anger boiling up. It was obvious that Melanie was insulting her, but she couldn't do anything about it. Samuel's ability to have the secretary from the office building send the invitation cards in person with just a phone call was just too over the top. Besides, an invitation for a banquet of this level wasn't something the Lopez family could easily obtain. Aaron and Caitlin, on the other hand, were even more envious. With a son-in-law like that, I bet we'll wake up with a smile every morning. Life will be all about counting money, right? Isn't Samuel's brother in love with our daughter? However, the couple couldn't change Zoe's mind, so they didn't muse out loud. Meanwhile, Samuel was completely flummoxed by the whole thing. Where in the world do I find connections in Northampton? They must be mistaken. But since it's at this point now, I guess I should just go along with it. It'll make me look good anyway. Samuel chuckled. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I could only get us 10 invitations. After all, there aren't many places available for this kind of banquet. Harry grinned from ear to ear. You're the cream of the crop, Samuel. Here, let Grandpa give you a toast. Upon seeing this, Aaron was green with envy. Grandpa, why don't you distribute these invitations? Samuel said. Sure. Harry had 4 children in total. Everyone received an invitation, all except for Aaron's family. The last few remaining invitations were given to Sean and some of his favorite grandchildren. Thank you, Grandpa. Sean and the others flourished the invitation cards in their hands before Aaron's family. Without a word said, Aaron's family bowed their heads and remained silent. In Harry's eyes, they were no better than the younger ones, and they acknowledged it. They could only blame themselves for being worthless. Just then, someone's voice broke the silence. Why didn't we get an invitation? It was Luke. Everyone laughed themselves silly at Luke's question. Do you think your family is qualified to get an invitation? Have you guys ever contributed to the Lopez family? Sean retaliated directly. Yeah, dream on. Can you guys be any more shameless to expect to receive an invitation? Henry questioned unabashedly. Zoe and her parents had given up on all hope. They looked at Luke with nothing but disgust in their eyes. However, Luke let out a cold snort. It's for my sake that this invitation is given to you. I intended to give them to my in-laws and they were given to you passingly. Have some pride, Luke. Fabian exploded. Clearly, Samuel got these invitations through his connections. What the hell has it got to do with you? Yeah, who the hell do you think you are? Samuel's anger mounted. How dare you try to take credit for this? Soon after, Henry pointed at Aaron. Just look at your son-in-law, Aaron. Do something about him, and don't bring him to our next family banquet. We cannot tolerate such insolence. Luke was about to say something when Zoe pulled him outside. Come with me. She couldn't stand him any longer as hot torrents of grief coursed down her face. Luke, please don't embarrass me anymore. I really can't hold on if you keep this up. Luke wiped away her tears and asked, Do you want to attend the banquet, Zoe? Who wouldn't want to? Didn't you see the look in Mom and Dad's eyes? Zoe said grumpily. But there's nothing we can do, even if we want to go. It's not like you can get us in, can you? I can, Luke said decisively. This was too much for Zoe to handle. Her temper sparked and she turned on her heels trying to leave. Zoe, why don't you trust me? Luke asked. How am I supposed to trust you when you're behaving like this? Zoe replied with a question of her own. Luke chuckled. I'll definitely get you inside. I, Luke Garrison, am a man of my word. Zoe nodded. Okay, I'll trust you just this once. If you can't do it, we're over. Deal. Fine, I'm going all out on this one, Zoe said resolutely while wiping her tears. I don't need this stupid pride. I'm going to continue to attend this family banquet and tell everyone that my husband is capable of getting an invitation for tomorrow's banquet too. Okay, ladies first, let me just make one call. Azure Dragon, tell Jesse I'll attend the banquet he's hosting tomorrow, Luke said once the call went through. What? So you agree to attend the banquet? Thank God. The higher-ups were so worried that you won't give Jesse this honor. Yes, I'll attend. But please ban some of the people from this event. Roger that, sir. I'll make the arrangements now. Returning inside, Luke saw Zoe holding her head high, looking as proud as a peacock. It was obvious that she had made the announcement, as many pairs of eyes were fixated on him. Say, how do you guys think this punk got the invitation? By stealing? Who knows if he bought it for the sake of pretending? Samuel laughed. Don't you guys know that one invitation cost over 1 million? Aaron's family owes Grandpa about 3 million. How can they afford to buy an invitation? Right then, dinner was served, marking the start of the family banquet. I think the 4 of them can just have a bowl of noodles each. There's no need to serve them. What do you guys think? Henry asked. Samuel laughed. Let's just feed them. Otherwise it'll look like Grandpa's mistreating them. All right then. Other tables were bustling with noise and excitement, with everyone toasting each other and currying favor with Samuel, but it was deadly silence at Luke's. Aaron glanced at Samuel, then back at Luke, sighing. What's the point of getting envious? Such is my fate. Caitlin glowered at Luke. Can today be any more humiliating? However, they didn't dare to leave without the old man's permission, and could only continue to suffer from the humiliation in awkward silence. Right then, Samuel came over with a glass of wine, followed by a group of people who had been paying court to him. He walked past Luke and stood before Zoe. I was going to introduce my brother to you, Zoe. He's so much better than me, but it seems that you're not fortunate enough to enjoy a good life. It's a pity that you have a bad taste in men. Aaron and Caitlin sighed. If only Luke didn't show up, Zoe would have been with Chris, and our family would have been rich again. How amazing is that? But sadly, it seems that we are plagued by poverty. Soon, the family banquet ended. Let's go to my house. I want to have a good talk with my grandson-in-law regarding the Lopez family's future development and tomorrow's banquet. All of you must sit in and listen. It'll be good for you, Harry instructed. Aaron and Caitlin looked at Harry in anticipation, hoping that the Lopez family would lend a hand to alleviate their current livelihood. But little did they know, Harry responded, "Aaron, you guys can go back on your own." Aaron hesitated a little. "Dad, but I know buts. We don't need you here. Besides, your good son-in-law just came back from prison. I don't want him to stain my place with bad luck," Harry said, then left with the crowd. Before leaving, Samuel, Melanie, and a few others stood before Luke, waving the invitation cards in their hands. "Don't disappoint me tomorrow night. Don't say you know me if you can't get in. I can't afford to throw my reputation down the gutters." Luke snickered. "You'll never know who's the one who can't get in when the time comes." "All right then, we'll soon see about that." Everyone left happily with an invitation card in their hands, leaving Aaron and his family sighing and groaning. Aaron cast a deep glance at Luke. If only he could bring honor for the family. It's a pity that he just got out of prison. Even surviving is a problem for him. After that, Luke followed Zoe home. Compared to the Garrison family, this was his home, a home where a woman had been waiting for him for 6 years. Back home, Luke took the initiative to lay a mattress on the floor, but Zoe let him sleep on the bed instead. Thereafter, he lay on the bed while Zoe continued to draft a plan at the desk. "What are you doing?" Luke asked. "I'm drafting a proposal for an ecological park development project at West City. Even if the chance of success is not even 1%, I'm going to try my best to win this bid." Zoe smiled. Until the following night, not once did Zoe complain about him, nor did she show a long face. But she couldn't help it anymore as it was almost time for the welcome banquet. "Luke Garrison, I trusted you so much and bet everything on you. But where's the invitation? How on earth am I supposed to believe you now? I'd thought you would come up with ideas to get us in, but you didn't step out from this house nor made a phone call the moment we came home last night. Do you think the invitation will just fall from the sky?" Aaron and Caitlin added, "What are you waiting for? Zoe had made a big promise last night. If you don't make this happen, there won't be a place for us to live in the Lopez family in the future." Luke glanced at the clock. "It's almost time. Just follow me." Driving in Aaron's hovel, they arrived at Paradise Villa, where the God of War's welcome banquet was held. "Zoe, I will prove to you now that I can do it." Luke pulled Zoe and headed towards the entrance. Well, look who's here, if it isn't Aaron and his criminal son-in-law. Along with the mockeries, Harry and the others had arrived with bags of gifts consisted of fine wine, wild ginseng, tea, and so on in their hands. The Lopez family's plan was simple, to butter up the God of War as much as they could. "I didn't expect you to come, Zoe," Melanie said as she moved closer to Zoe, her voice laced with sarcasm. "Where's your invitation card? Show it to me." It's easy to purchase counterfeit ones these days. Melanie, Samuel, and the others were not the slightest bit convinced that Luke could get an invitation. Just look at their status. There's no way they can get an invitation to the banquet. It's like saying pigs could fly. Zoe hesitated because there was no invitation card to begin with. "Come on, what are you hiding?" Melanie laughed. "Don't tell me your invitation card is made of gold that I can't even take a look at it." Zoe clammed up, her head lowered. "Aaron, show us your invitation card," Harry demanded upon noticing the couple's odd demeanors. "Dad!" Aaron panicked. "What? You won't obey even your own father's order? Hurry up and show it to me," Harry bellowed. Aaron panted heavily and could only tell the truth. "Dad, we don't have an invitation card. It was Luke who brought us here." Soon after they heard it, Samuel, Melanie, and the others laughed so hard that their belly hurt. "You're such an idiot," Harry glared at Aaron. "What a disgrace to have a son like you." Sensing the mass's scoffing eyes and ruthless laughter, a fresh swell of rage rose in Aaron as his last piece of dignity left in front of the Lopez family vanished without a trace. Zoe, too, hated Luke to the core, knowing that they had lost all respect from the Lopez family. "How shameless of you to attend the banquet without an invitation. Let me tell you a fact. No matter how hard you try, your family can never enter this gate," Samuel taunted. "Let's go inside, Grandpa," Melanie said as she held onto Harry's arm. "Don't let them get in the way." "You're right. Knowing them is such a disgrace." The Lopez family shot daggers at Luke and hurried towards the gate. Aaron was about to say something when Luke said, "Dad, look. They won't be able to get in." Standing at the entrance of Paradise Villa were dozens of security guards who were hired to maintain order at the scene. Samuel took out 12 invitation cards and handed them over. "For 12, please." He said that as he straightened his back, looking proud. After all, how many were there who could take out 12 invitation cards at once? But the next second, the security guard said expressionlessly, "You people are restricted from entering and are banned from attending the banquet." What? Samuel and the others thought they had misheard the security guard. That's impossible. Riley, the secretary from the office building, sent us these invitations in person yesterday, Harry argued. Samuel put on a haughty face. This is my invitation card. Let me in this instance. You can't afford to mess with me. Thud. Suddenly, a truncheon rested on Samuel's head. Do you not understand human language? You people are restricted from entering. Must I explain to you in action? With the truncheon aiming at his head, Samuel was so frightened that he almost peed his pants. But with so many eyes watching him, he mustered his courage and struck back. I dare you to touch me. Don't you know who I am? Let me speak to your supervisor. Wham! The security guard knocked him down straight away with the truncheon. Samuel had completely wet his pants, and the Lopez family was all the more petrified. What are you guys waiting for? Scram! The security guard barked. The Lopez family helped Samuel up and made a dash. You were right. They couldn't get in. Aaron was shocked at the scene that unfolded before him. At that moment, Luke smiled and held Zoe's hand. We should get inside. Don't. We're going to get ourselves killed. How are we supposed to get inside when Samuel and the rest can't even get through the security checkpoint? Aaron and Caitlin said and backpedaled in fear. Zoe's delicate body trembled as well. Yeah, can we really get inside? We don't even have an invitation card. Didn't you say that you'll give me one last chance? How do you know if you don't try? Luke smiled. Okay, I trust you. Zoe held Luke's hand tightly. Officers! Melanie's voice was heard just as the four of them approached the security checkpoint. Although they are members of the Lopez family, my grandfather had long kicked them out of the Lopez family. They are not related to us. Yes, officers. They have nothing to do with the Lopez family, Harry said in a flustered voice. Please don't take offense at us. Luke looked back and sneered. Such heartless creatures. When they arrived at the security checkpoint, Zoe even closed her eyes. To be honest, she'd rather die today than being humiliated. Aaron and Caitlin shared the same sentiment. Harry and the others didn't leave. They were hiding in a distance, intending to watch Aaron and his family make a fool of themselves. Welcome, Mr. Garrison and his family. You are our most distinguished guest. Invitations are not required. Upon hearing that, Zoe opened her eyes to see dozens of security guards lined up in 2 rows, saluting them. As if they had entered Fantasyland, Zoe and her parents made their way inside Paradise Villa. Harry and the others, who were waiting for a good show outside, were completely dumbstruck. They went in? How is that possible? Truth be told, Zoe and her parents felt like they were on cloud 9 when they saw the Lopez family's incredulous faces. Aaron looked around, still in disbelief. That was easy. How did you pull that off, Luke? It was only then did they feel that their son-in-law was somewhat useful. At the very least, they managed to redeem themselves from the humiliation they had suffered. Caitlin smiled. Luke also had connections in Northampton before this, no? You're right, Mom. I have friends, Luke replied. Zoe looked at Luke suspiciously. She had a hunch that things were not that simple. Almost none of his friends stepped forward when he was in trouble. There were many who put the boot in instead. Would anyone help him? In the villa, Zoe and his parents were careful of their every movement. After all, they couldn't afford to break anything or offend anyone on such an occasion. Zoe, is that you? What are you doing here? Am I seeing things? Suddenly, a voice of surprise sounded from behind. Zoe's eyes were filled with disgust when she saw the incoming person. The 4 people that were coming her way were dressed in tuxedos and had the bearing of royalty. The man in the lead was Derek Johns, the son of the president of Apex Group. He had lusted after Zoe for ages, even offering millions to sleep with her, but she remained unmoved. As an act of revenge, Derek had caused Zoe's well-developed company to go bankrupt. Why can't I be here? Zoe said coldly. Derek looked Luke up and down. Is this your criminal husband? Did he bring you in? Upon that, he leaned in closer to Zoe and gave a lubricious chuckle. I don't care how you guys got in, but with my powers, I can send your husband back to jail again and get him locked up for a decade or 2. Zoe believed Derek could do it, given his expedience and abilities. What do you want? Zoe looked at him warily. As long as you promise to keep me company, I swear I won't trouble him, otherwise I'll definitely send him in again. Will Zoe defend Luke in front of the entire Lopez family or break down under pressure? Will Luke finally expose his true identity as the god of war to everyone? Can Luke truly win Zoe's trust again and rebuild their relationship from scratch?
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.